780,000 years ago, 2,000-meter long UFO, that's 6,000 feet, held itself near Earth orbit before hitting the surface. This year, humanity has continued attempts to answer the ultimate question, are we alone in the universe? There is no known record of when the first UFO was spotted on Earth. Now we have a tremendous amount of data to confirm the sightings, but there is a lot more lost in history. Ancient alien theorists have collected several examples that might suggest some medieval UFO sightings, but that is the oldest record. What is the oldest record of UFO sightings? Around 780,000 years ago, or 790,000 years to 800,000 years ago, a strange object entered the solar system with speeds well over 20,000 miles an hour, which was quite lesser than other space objects. It was around 2 kilometers wide, 110 times bigger than the Chelyabinsk meteor that hit Russia in 2013. There are two conceivable outcomes when a huge body falls towards Earth at these enormous speeds. Either the object will be accelerated past by our planet's gravity, or it will strike the surface. The nature of the second scenario is devastating. However, NASA studies show that the object had placed itself in orbit, perhaps with the ability to slow down, although a few car-sized or smaller rocky bodies have been known to hit the Earth briefly, to orbit the Earth briefly. Our planet is simply too large to have such an impact on objects with diameters greater than a few kilometers. The small rocky worlds of the inner solar system do not have the same gravitational effect as Jupiter and Saturn, which have been known to divert speedy comets. Now there's a map here, the Australian strewn field, where tektites from a meteor impact are spread over the Earth's surface, image from Wikipedia Commons. Now, the strange visitor experienced a protracted process of superheating or self-melting that reduced it to glass after an unknown amount of time in orbit. Then, from Antarctica to southern China, blobs of frozen liquid glass began to fall from the sky. According to a chemical analysis of the debris recovered, whatever this thing was once contained a significant amount of aluminum, iron, calcium oxide, magnesium oxide, potassium oxide, and various trace elements in addition to quartz crystal, which is a material essential to our information processing technologies. A surprising number of them are compounds with characteristics that might be important for spaceship design. The evidence for this strike is in the form of tektites. They are fragments of earthly material that the impact has superheated, melted, and then flung into the atmosphere. Though some are larger, tektites are typically centimeter-sized lumps of green or black glass. They are known scientifically as quenched molten ejecta. They were scattered throughout a vast region in what is known as the Australasia strewn field. No known naturally occurring asteroids, comets, or meteorites have ever had a silica content higher than 60%. According to several studies, the object may be the first extraterrestrial visitor to our solar system ever discovered because it has isotope traces that hint to an intergalactic origin. After 200 years of research, the creation and distribution of Australasian tektites still provide a challenge to science. An interstellar object hypothesis explains any oddities that have persisted. When the potential of tektites as a techno-signature is looked at, it's determined to be strong. Nobody is completely sure what it is, what it was, where it came from, or how it got into orbit before exploding after a century of study, making this source body the first ever seen unidentified flying object, UFO. Some scientists have proposed a massive asteroid collision somewhere in Southeast Asia to explain the Australite mystery, while others have asserted that it must be the consequence of a piece of the moon being blown off and traveling in our direction. Although each of these long debated ideas has strong points, they both failed to explain the available evidence. The moon hypothesis has the benefit of providing an explanation for how a substance resembling glass might fall to Earth from space. Some of the ensuing tektite material might come our way if an asteroid struck the lunar surface and blew off a quantity of melted rock. As it became clear that the moon was not composed of a substance that would fit with the australite debris, this theory soon lost favor. The terrestrial impact hypothesis offered the compelling point that the glass contained compounds which could fit with some mixed shales on Earth. Could the vast debris field and odd glass formation be explained by a fast-moving object striking Earth with sufficient force in the exact right location? The answer is no, even though this model is still widely used. The NASA studies make it abundantly evident that the so-called australite buttons were generated in space during an extended heating period before gradually entering the atmosphere. They not only have almost no water in them, but they also have hard vacuum bubbles in them. The data suggests that the tektite glass must have been heated in a certain method that eliminated most of the bubbles and left a fairly homogeneous material. This is perhaps the most difficult aspect of all, as it contradicts the widely established Stokes equation for frictional force on liquids. The energy released during an impact is both very strong and fleeting. What could it be if it was not a chunk of the moon breaking off or any other known natural object striking our planet? Avi Loeb, the Harvard astrophysicist who is a proponent of the extraterrestrial hypothesis, says, "When you are not ready to find exceptional things, you will never discover them." He perhaps suggests that in order to harvest the fruits of other technological civilizations, we must search our backyard in the solar system for objects that came from outside of the solar system. Some of the objects we find may be intelligent, while others would burn up in the Earth's atmosphere. Could it be that one of these hyper-advanced entities already paid Earth a visit, with our distant Homo erectus ancestors watching their vast silica network craft orbiting above their heads in the night sky? A recent study published by ResearchGate, entitled Australasian Tektites as Interstellar Object Debris, Anomalies in Composition, Formation and Distribution, considers the likelihood that the parent body of the Australasian tektites was a natural interstellar object or might otherwise have been an artificial megastructure monitoring Earth's biosphere. It's also interesting to note that the last total geomagnetic reversal on Earth occurred 780,000 years ago. The complete reversal of the magnetic north and south poles. Could the destruction of the world's first UFO and the subsequent major shift in the planet's energy somehow be connected? And this is on Collective Spark by Vicky Verma Hausen Wise. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box